of our borders. And we even have some cities in our own state. The city of Eugene has been really, we've been in negotiation on our franchise agreement for quite some time, and climate change and some things have been discussed there. So this is a really important issue for you guys as business owners and you guys as residents, I guess, customers, to understand a little bit about this, why it's important, and what we as Northwest Natural are doing and what we are looking to you for some help on. So just so you know, kind of as a starting point, I'm not here to debate climate change. I'm not here to debate whether we should move away from fossil fuels. Our company about 5 years ago did some strategic planning, and we came to the conclusion that we're going to operate going forward as accepting climate change as occurring, realizing that there's a climate imperative, and that we are, the largest energy provider in the state, we serve about 2.5 million customers, over half the state's population. We have a role to play in reducing greenhouse gas emissions and addressing climate change. And one of the things that we have pledged, and we have a pathway going forward, we hope to be, now I'm glad you're all sitting down, the nation's first carbon neutral gas utility. And we're doing that in advance of any legislation, in advance of any guidance from our PUC, the Public Utility Commission, in advance of any bans or anything from the state legislature. We are working on interjecting basically renewable natural gas, which is, you all understand how when things decay, they emit methane. That methane is exactly the same sort of methane that is extracted from the ground and brought to you to your home. But that methane from decaying matter, think about wastewater treatment plants, dairy lagoons, landfills, that can be captured. It can be cleaned to what we call pipeline quality standards, and it can offset some of the gas that we get conventionally. So we are adding, by the end of this year, we're hoping to have upwards of 3% of what we deliver to all of our customer base be renewable natural gas. We're working on some hydrogen pilots, which renewable hydrogen basically is when you take extra electricity. Think about in the spring when the grid is, there's not a lot of use on the grid and there's a lot of renewables. You can take that extra electricity and run it through water. You separate the hydrogen atoms out and you can store those on our pipeline intermixed with the methane for not an hour or a day like battery storage, but for seasons. So we are really working very diligently every day to deliver the product that you guys have come to expect, safely, reliably, but in a much more decarbonized form. But that being said, there are folks that don't want to look into that. They just feel that it is a better idea to clean the electric grid and then electrify everything. And, you know, unfortunately, energy policy is pretty complex. I do this every day and I'm still learning a lot. And if you were to, for sake of scale of what we bring to our customers, if you were at the highest efficiency level to replace all gas infrastructure or equipment, you would need to double or triple the hydropower that we have in our state. And I think we can all understand we're probably not going to be building any more dams anymore. And for people to think that you can basically cover our load, which is very different than people say, oh, in California, they're being able to do this. And one of the things that's important for people to understand is energy systems are built to handle peak times. So it may be running at this level all the time, but every once in a while, you're going to have an event where you need to deliver that much energy. And in California, their peak season is in the summertime when they have a lot of cooling load. There's a lot more solar. They can manage that a lot better with renewables. However, in the Northwest, our peak season happens to be in that really cold 2 to 3 a.m. on a February morning where the wind isn't blowing, the sun isn't shining, and our energy system is providing between 74 and 90% of the energy for space heat and water heat in our region. And that's pretty expensive to replace. And to do that with renewables and battery storage is a tall ask. So what we're basically trying to do is we're working with our cities, working with their climate action plans and their sustainability commissions so that they understand the modeling of what our gas system provides and how they can decarbonize using our product. So I guess I sent Liz some questions, or I'd love to take a break and see if what I've said to start this off has brought up any questions for you guys. Robert?
By the way, this would be, I hope if you have a chance to attend our Cruiseway Economic Forum on the 21st, it's going to be how businesses, we have 2 economists from Eco Northwest. It's going to be how businesses can adapt to coming out of the pandemic and climate change. So I
just registered.
Your information is just really very, very timely because I think we're all going to be adapting. The question I have is how much can we save in terms of efficiency, of buildings, motors, industrial systems, as opposed to supply? I mean, because my understanding, the biggest energy loss is homes and factories and stuff not being insulated and waste heat escaping from our buildings. Do you have any? I'm sure you guys have done research on that.
Oh yeah, that's probably the first pillar of our decarbonization program, because we don't have to decarbonize the molecule we don't burn. And we do that in many different ways, working with Energy Trust, having incentive programs that help people upgrade to more efficient equipment. Additionally, one of the other things that's pretty important for us is working with not just our trade allies, our HVAC partners, but working with manufacturers to bring new technologies to market and have them scale and be viable in the market. One of the things that we're hoping to see within the next 2 years is what we call a gas-fired heat pump, hot water heater, and a gas heat pump furnace. A high efficiency gas furnace right now is between 95 and 98% efficient. Heat pumps, electric heat pumps, often are over 100% efficient. These gas-fired heat pumps are the same kind of technology, and we're hoping they're usually in like 120% efficiency. And I don't want to get into exactly how that equates, but it's new technology that we're excited to be able to match heat pump technology. And one thing people don't really realize is they think, oh, Northwest Natural, they're the big gas provider. They must use the most natural gas in our state. Well, actually, one of our electric providers, PGE, uses per capita more gas than we do. And they are using that to generate electricity when they're during those peak times. They're using the natural gas at about a 40% efficiency. We bring that same molecule of gas to homes at a 90% efficiency. So basically for every molecule of gas PG is using, we are doubling efficiency from that. So it's just really important for people to think about energy in a whole stream context, not just right at the piece of equipment, but how much of a particular source did it take to generate that energy?
And why is it only?
Does that help, Robert?
Well, why is it only 40% efficient? Are these gas turbines, or what are they?
Right, and then they have that also equates with line loss and various things, and it could be anywhere between 38 and 45% efficient. And so I say mid 40s to give them the benefit of the doubt. But efficient gas furnaces are bringing that same molecule right to your home at a 90% efficiency. And one of the other things people talk about, we hear about fugitive methane. And back east, they have a lot of low pressure systems that are cast iron. We in the 1990s, working in concert with our Public Utility Commission, were able to upgrade our system to a system of completely covered steel or polypipe. And we can honestly say we probably have one of the most modern systems in the nation. And our emissions are much less than, our fugitive emissions are much less than a lot of the systems that you see back east. So Liz, did you have, I think I sent you some questions that might spark some.
But I'm going to interject one of my own here, because I know for years we used to see the signs on the way to the coast about what LNG, liquefied natural gas. Is that part of your industry, or is that a completely separate issue?
Well, what they do with liquefied natural gas, that is usually to be able to transport large quantities of gas overseas. We are what we call local distribution company. We do not extract gas out of the ground, and we don't, that is not part of our business model. We basically, there's a large pipeline called Williams Pipeline. We get our gas from them at what we call the city gate. And once at that point, it comes onto our system and we distribute it to homes and businesses in our region.
So you personally, Northwest Natural, are working on the federal level too. So what, I mean, it sounds like you have a number of different strategies that you're going to have to go through. So what are the feds going to be doing to Oregon?
Yeah, it's actually a really exciting time on all fronts of energy. Basically, I'm sure most of you are familiar with the uptake of wind and solar, and it's taken about 20 years for wind and solar to become about 7% each of electrical generation, statewide. That has not happened in a vacuum. That has happened with a lot of federal and state subsidies of solar panels, of infrastructure, of things like that. And we are working with the Biden administration and our congressional delegation to, in the infrastructure package that's coming, to do things to help support us being able to do what we call an interconnect of these and help develop more renewable natural gas projects. So help a dairy farmer buy the biodigester and do the piping that would interconnect the methane from their lagoon onto our system, and to do some of these exploratory or this work in hydrogen to be able to work with electric partners. We have with Eugene Water and Electric right now, we're working on a partnership to use their, I guess, what you would call excess electricity to generate renewable hydrogen and to see how that operates on a small section of our system. So, but a lot of these things, just like wind and solar, we need a little bit of help to get these things to market scale. And so that's probably a lot of where we're focusing on that. Additionally, at the state level, we're working with, I'm sure you guys probably were following over the last couple sessions, the what they called cap and invest or cap and trade at the state level, where there was going to be a statewide price on carbon, and there would be a declining cap of allowances, and those allowances could be traded, but if you went over your cap, you had to pay. Well, with the disruption or dysfunction in Salem, those didn't pass, and so the governor took it upon herself to do some work around carbon and climate through executive orders. So right now, that's one of the things that we have folks really working on every day with the rulemaking around the governor's executive orders through DEQ and other departments. And so once we kind of understand what the landscape looks like for us and for our customers through that, we will then kind of, we're hoping to have a real marked out pathway of how for milestones of decarbonization going forward. But really we're waiting for, before we can really have that cast in stone, we have to see what's going to be expected of our company and our product through the governor's executive order.
Where does Northwest Natural Gas supply come from? Is it Canada? Is it Midwest? Or where does our gas come from, I guess?
We get a majority, and I want to say it's somewhere in the 70 to 80% of our gas from British Columbia and Canada. We do get a small part from the Rockies, but a majority of it comes from north of the border. But there is no natural gas drilling per se in our state.
And what is Northwest Natural Gas allowed to invest in renewables like solar and wind, or is that only PGE that is doing that? Well,
funny you should say that. So we're regulated just like the electric utilities. And what we have to do is we have to, on behalf of our customers, the Utility Commission requires us to buy least cost gas. And the renewable natural gas is not as inexpensive as conventional natural gas that we would buy from Williams. However, we had a landmark piece of legislation passed in 2019 called Senate Bill 98, which allowed us to basically have an increasing cap that we can spend to procure renewable natural gas on behalf of our customers. And the nice thing about it, it allows us also to invest and partner with, let's say, a dairy farmer or Clean Water Services to add an additional biodigester out to the sewage facility so we can capture that gas and put it on our system. Because in the past they would be flaring it, it would be methane and they would just be burning it to no purpose. With us being able to invest and find those extra dollars to be able to capture that and then use that to a purpose. So that's we were very proud of that legislation. It's the first of its kind in the nation. And till up to 2024, we can spend up to 5% of the amount that we would normally purchase conventional natural gas to procure renewable natural gas or invest in partnerships to capture naturally occurring projects.
Some time ago, there was a lot of research going on to wood waste and biomass. Is that still happening? Are you interfacing with the wood products industry at all?
We hope to. The key thing with woody biomass, what you don't want is we don't want to grow trees to grind them up and make methane. That's not helpful.
Talking about
what we do, that should be being timber that is being turned into tables and plywood and, 2x4s.
Right.
What we are doing is there'll probably be some opportunities for us down the Santa Ana Canyon in places that were affected by the wildfires, because a lot of that wood is in a state that it cannot be turned into a retail product, but it may be a good candidate to be, what is it called? It's methanization of that, and it's a burning of it without oxygen. I'm not real,
paralysis.
but the idea is it will be probably a source that we will be working on. We'll be helping with that cleanup and turning what would just be a problem into a stream for energy. The other thing that's kind of nice about it, and the dairy farm part too, is it allows areas of our state that are rural and maybe have been not involved or not been able to participate in the green energy economy to find their niche to be able to participate and to turn a waste stream into a profit center.
Because I know a number of mills that had wood waste as part of the milling process were creating or generating biogas, but I don't know, Northwest Natural Gas buy that biogas, or where does that go right now?
Well, for us, it needs to be at a certain, we have really strict, basically quality standards, just like petroleum, that they don't just let any petroleum go into your car. It has to be within real strict parameters. And so we do too. The other thing is these projects and this equipment, these biodigesters and different pieces of equipment are pretty expensive. So it's very important to be able to put it in a spot where you can aggregate and have enough there to make it worth putting that piece of equipment and doing that interconnect to our system. So this again is a thing over time. This is newer technology. I think we have, there's over 109 renewable natural gas projects in our state or in our nation, but more are coming on every day. I think Europe is about 10 to 15 years ahead of us in a lot of this with the renewable hydrogen and renewable natural gas. And I want to say France is bringing on like 3 renewable natural gas projects per month in the country of France. So we're really taking learnings from what they've done well and what hasn't gone so well from them, and being able to use that to direct what we're doing and what we're investing in.
Now, I've got a follow-up question from Doug on one of Rob's questions about where the gas is located. So yes, if gas was found in Veronia.
What we have there, those, I don't know if I believe that they were old gas wells from, I don't know when ago, but we purchased, it's basically some sandstone caverns. And it's a really unique feature. And it's probably one of the reasons that we in the Northwest have such beneficial gas rates. So what they are is a sandstone cavern with an impermeable top, and you drill through that impermeable top, and we're able to inject methane into those sandstone caverns, and it's held there like a well. And we are able, in this case, to buy gas when it's at a particularly low price and store that in those caverns. And then we can draw from them at points where we may need more gas, like in the wintertime. And instead of having to go to the market or go to Williams and buy that at a more inflated price because it's being needed more, we're able to, it's basically like having a savings account. And we have multiple wells up in Mist and, outside of Vernonia.
And then I had a question. You mentioned climate change, and then you just mentioned the fires we had last year. How are the extreme weather events that we're experiencing now and other similar events affecting Northwest Natural and the future of that industry?
Besides the threat of climate change and us having to move away from conventional fossil fuels, I would say the nice thing about our system is that we're set up pretty well through natural disasters. During the fires, we had, I want to say, about 1,500 people that we had to take offline up the San Ian Canyon, and we were able to get them back online within a couple weeks. So that the idea that our system is underground and well insulated and a modern system, it fares, the ice storms, the things that happen in Texas just don't happen to our system because we're weatherized and we have a very high degree of safety and planning. And all in all, that's one of the other things that we find very important about why our region should have two energy grids, because there were a lot of folks in Clackamas County during the ice storm that were out of power for a couple, 2-3 weeks. And they may have had a gas stove that they could cook on. They may have had a gas fireplace that at least kept their main living area warm. And depending on what kind of hot water heater, they might have been able to wash clothes or at least take a shower. So, the idea behind having two decarbonized systems is just practical for resiliency play as well.
It's funny we're having this conversation because we had our Cruiseway Economic Forum group that met this morning to kind of work talk more about the program that's coming up. And in some places over in Eastern Oregon, wind and solar are now being used. There's a project that's going to pump water up into a reservoir, and then during the day, and then at night when you need the power, the water will run downhill and generate electricity. So they're using the excess wind and solar that's surplus and using it essentially as a large battery to store electricity. Can any of that be done with natural gas during off-peak times, or is that not worth it?
Well, for us, that's the whole idea about the hydrogen idea. When people talk about the decarbonization of the electrical system, they didn't say cut the wires and build a new system to put something new over it. They changed over time what was going across it. And that's what we're hoping to do with our pipe. It's a highway, and it can carry different types of gas that have different carbon intensities. And that's where this whole hydrogen thing, using that excess electricity to basically split water molecules in half and create that hydrogen, which we can store in our pipe and transfer wherever it needs to go, intermixed with the renewable natural gas and the conventional natural gas that is on there already. So that's the other thing people just need to understand. Our energy systems are so linked and so connected. We could possibly end up using electricity to create some of our fuel product. The electrical companies right now use a lot of our product to spin turbines when the renewables aren't there to create, and it's a cleaner fuel than coal. So they use a lot of our product to create electricity right now. Well, you guys have been a really good audience on this. I know this is kind of crazy stuff, but it's important for you as the business community to hear about these things. Marcia, I know maybe people might ask you, oh, is it okay to buy a house with natural gas in it? Are they going to be able to continue to deliver the product? And our response is yes, but we need folks like you to know a little bit more about what's going on in your city, your state, and to help us get this message out. And if there are places you think want to hear this message, need to hear this message, need to have a little more depth of education while they're making policy, that's what we're here to do. And I will say our company has been really, really good at doing a lot of things, but we haven't told our story very well into these last few years, and we haven't helped people have more energy knowledge. And it's an important thing if we're going to address climate change in a manner that's affordable and keeps the lights on and our homes heated in a reliable, affordable manner going forward.
And responsible, so, yeah.
Well,
I'd love to talk to you about that, maybe after the meeting or another time, some resources through PMAR and Oregon Board of Realtors and things. 'Cause I
Would
think
love to.
help people better understand, because there is such a push on all of that. So,
I'll put my email in the chat, and you're welcome to send me an email, and we'll find a time to get together. And if there's a place that you think that needs to have some more,
yeah, I do.
some set of this presentation, we're happy to do that.
Great.
I know that both the city and the school district have sustainability and climate change in their strategic plans and where they're planning to go. And you mentioned that student groups are part, and frankly, some of the information you gave today, I had not heard before. And I'm wondering if meeting with the youth forums of a city like Lake Oswego would be a very good place to start, because I don't know that the energy sources, but you don't know how much of the impact. When you say 2.5 million people in the state of Oregon are on some kind of natural gas system, that's an impressive number. And I think most people think electricity. And the fact that sometimes it takes gas to generate electricity, those are statements that, again, people are not thinking about how you create the energy sources. You must run into that all the time. What is the most stunning thing that you wind up telling people that they don't know about?
Well, I think it's the fact that people hear a lot about, oh, the electric system is going to be clean and it's going to be 100% carbon free. Well, to some degree it is, but a lot of these things, they're doing it through a policy mechanism. And by that, I mean, the electric system delivers a certain amount of renewable electricity every day. But there are policy mechanisms. And by that, I mean, like maybe some of you participate in the Blue Sky program through Pacific Core or PG's Green Energy Tariff, where you pay a little bit more on your bill, but you're getting a larger percentage of a renewably created electricity. And that money, that little extra that you're paying, is helping them build more solar, more wind, more things like that. Well, we can do the same sort of thing, and people don't understand that. Like, for instance, it's not known that the largest user of natural gas in our state has been in the past Portland General Electric, and they are using our product at less efficiency. So it's things like that we just have quietly done our job and not talked about it. But it is important for us to show people, hey, our green, like for instance, I talked about that 2.5 million people, between 74 and 90% of the energy in our state is being generated with our product. And that's for heat and water heat. And our the percentage of the state's greenhouse gas emission for all of that is about 6% of our product. So we're providing a lot of energy for a small profile of emissions. And we're working to take that 6% to 3% and then lower than that.
I had heard an interesting statistic this morning that I wasn't aware of, that for if climate change, if the temperature increases 1%, 1 degree, which is more than projected, what that does to the demand for cooling, particularly in areas like the California, Arizona, the Southwest, it's not 1%, it's like 10%. It's a big multiple. It'd be nice to know what that statistic is. So if you think about climate change on the 10,000 foot level, increasing temperatures is going to create demand for more electricity, for more energy to keep us cool and keep businesses cool. And that's not something I've ever thought about before. So it's a very complex issue.
It really is. And the thing that's crazy is technology, equipment, all sorts of things are happening every day. And the way we're kind of looking at it is, people say, well, how do you feel about the electrification of the passenger cars? And we think that that's great, and we want to support that. Our company is kind of coming from a holistic view of the energy needs, and we want the greenest molecule and the greenest electron to be used at the appropriate time. And it's going to take all of us working together to be able to fulfill the energy that is going to be required of our region, especially as it's growing, and to do that in a sustainable, affordable manner that is working towards our climate goals.
Last thought, and this is totally out of the whack. I'm thinking it won't be us, but it'll be the next generation. Do you foresee a time where Northwest Natural Gas and PGE or whatever, whoever the energy providers will have to be merged to be able to have a holistic strategy? Or is there a lot of conversations going on right now between the various providers, PGE and natural gas and PP&L, so that this is coordinated and you're not competing with each other?
I would say that that's about 5 steps above my pay grade. I do know that we probably, there probably will be some learnings. A lot of, there's very few, and when I say very few, probably less than 20, that local gas distribution companies. A lot of the big companies that are gas companies also have an electric side, or they have an electric side and a gas side. So it will be interesting to see how they go about integrating their business models. One of the things I will say is, and I'm very proud to work for our company, we're really progressive about this. Our CEO right now, who is I believe a resident of Lake Oswego, he is the president of the American Gas Association this year, and he has been talking about this stuff with in that association for many years. And a couple years ago, he came back and he was like, "Wow, people nationwide are finally getting what I've been talking about for so long." And so it's really exciting to be working for a company that's at the forefront of innovation, at the forefront of being progressive and aggressive about getting to our climate goals and leveraging the $3 billion system that our customers have paid for, that's in the ground, modern, and working today. So there you go. We're working hard for your energy and your future and the environment. Well, I really have appreciated your thoughtful questions. And like I said, if there are places you think that would benefit from some sort of approach, I do talk with Jenny Slepian at the city pretty often. And, Liz, I appreciate what you were saying about the youth. We have, it's sometimes hard for some groups to see beyond us as your grandfather's fossil fuel company. And so there's a lot of skepticism, and it's sometimes hard to get in those rooms because they don't want to hear what we're saying. And it's much easier to do the electric two-step of clean the grid and let's electrify everything. not thinking about what the costs of that are going to be and what that means in reliability and what that means to strand a $3 billion asset that people have already paid for.
Well, I think you might want to start with Jenny, because I think your argument that you need a secondary source in emergency situations, certainly your example of Texas is a strong one, and having just one source is very nearsighted. And I think what you're talking with youth is about being more farsighted, and frankly, your company's being innovative. And I think that is something that youth values most of all, is when there's innovation and thinking forward. So yes, it is your grandfather's company, but it's also, it's the one that's going to be there if the electrical grid goes down. When you talk emergency planning, this is one of the sources that are referenced in emergency planning.
Well, we just hope to, if we do a better job telling our story, being out there, really showing the achievements, the interconnections of a renewable natural gas, increasing the amount of that on our pipeline, I think that people will become believers in what we're saying, and that we're not just greenwashing or telling a nice story and going about business as usual.
And Matthew, if I may, because you are on so many different committees and you know so much about all the different business groups that are doing things, would you tell this group a little bit about the Clackamas County Business Alliance? Because I don't know that our organization has been, is that the one you're the president of, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes.
Just 2 minutes on what they do, what they are.
You bet. It's kind of, it would be kind of a sister organization to Westside Economic Alliance. And the nice thing about it is we don't take positions on candidates, but we do a lot on measures and issues. And it's business organizations that come together. And we have one of probably the most valuable things is we have really robust participation from Clackamas County, from some of our cities, and definitely from our county commissioners and Metro staff. Our Metro Councilor Christine Lewis is on our board. We have really good, robust discussions about issues, and we co-host different events. And in fact, it might be at some point in time a good thing to co-host a legislative forum or an issue forum with the Lake Oswego Chamber, because we do partner pretty often with the North Clackamas Chamber. But it is a very good intersection of the public and private entities coming together. TriMet is on our board. We also have representation from SMART in Wilsonville. A lot of larger companies, the utilities are definitely there. And it's a very good forum to keep abreast of what's going on in Salem. We provide a lot of testimony for Clackamas County on, say, like the Abernathy Bridge, or various things that are for the community college, do a lot of testimony and advocacy, and a little bit of get out the vote, or education to the community and business around that. So we'd love to have, Liz, I think that you came to one of our last things, didn't you?
I have attended a few of them, and notably, neither the city nor the chamber were members. And so the chamber is now a member, and will be in touch with the city just to make sure that Lake Oswego is represented within this group.
And, it would be lovely to have someone from the Lake Oswego Chamber come, join as a business. I know Jordan Ramus is there pretty frequently, but we'd really love to see more business support, because we have a lot of folks from Oregon City and some from Wilsonville, but we don't have as many from Lake Oswego. And it's a really good one-stop shop to know what's going on in Clackamas County.
Great, thank you.
Well, with that, I appreciate your time and having me here and listening to me ramble on about wonky energy policy. But it's so important to have leaders like you in the community that have some passing familiarity with this, or if you hear something or you think that there's a place that could use some more education, I'm here for you.
Well, Nina, thank you so much for speaking with us today. We love having you as part of our committee in general, but we love, at least for me, I enjoyed listening to you and learning more about this renewable gas industry. And, you know, we'll keep informed going forward. And yeah, anytime that you want to